Yes, well, good evening, everyone. Now, I've been, as everyone has, looking at these negotiations from outside. We don't know exactly what is going on inside the negotiations. As David said, one of the big issues is the way in which the European Union is trying to give us a deal which is markedly different from the deals that it has given or been happy to make with a number of other trading partners. One of them that's held up for comparison is the EU-Canada deal called CETA. It's actually extremely interesting to compare CETA with where we look as if we're going on the negotiations, because there's all this argy-bargy about fisheries and level playing fields and state aid. I'll come back to that. But actually, we have already, in the negotiations, the EU has refused a number of important aspects that of trade agreements it gives to other parties, and so degraded the value of the free trade agreement with the European Union. They have refused, for example, to countenance so-called home country certification. This would be a very important right for British bodies to certify and test goods for export as compliant with European Union single market rules. They do it now, they're expert at it. There's no objective reason why this can't continue. The European Union has refused it for protectionist reasons. The European Union has also refused something which is incredibly complicated and technical, but very important, called third country accumulation of origin, despite giving that to Canada and its other free trade partners. Now, what that means in practical terms is that if a Japanese car plant in this country wants to export a car tariff-free into the European Union, they would not be allowed to include Japanese car parts as counting, as local content counting towards getting the tariff-free entry. And this has been, I think, deliberately done in order to cause serious problems for the car industry in this country. Now, the one big aspect of the trade deal the European Union does seem very keen on is having zero tariffs. Well, they would be, wouldn't they? They have a massive trade surplus in goods in their favour. As David mentioned, it's £95 billion of goods worth per year, last year, 2019. And what's more, their goods are heavily concentrated in high tariff sectors. So the zero tariff deal, so far as it's not, it is a long way, it's not something that we necessarily benefit that much from. The European Union will gain more than twice the amount of tariff concessions, of tariffs not charged on their exports, as UK exporters will gain in the opposite direction. So we're actually looking for a deal, if we do, and ignore the level playing field and the fish, let's assume that's sorted. We're actually heading for a trade deal, if we do one, which is extremely poor. And I think the problem with that is if we get locked into that, we've given the European Union the big thing it wants, which is hey-ho, zero tariff entry to the lucrative UK goods market. How in the future are we going to be able to improve it? How are we going to get access for our services in return? Because we've locked into a deal, very difficult to improve it. But all that is just looking at the trade terms on offer and not looking at the other part of the future relationship that will govern us. And that is that I'm afraid the withdrawal agreement and the Northern Ireland Protocol will not be terminated if we do a deal with the European Union, or it won't be terminated if we don't. And those impose on us a whole series of obligations which are quite different from those that are imposed on Canada. we will be subject to long-term direct European Court of Justice jurisdiction on Northern Ireland, on state aids under the Northern Ireland Protocol, which in fact don't just apply to Northern Ireland, but apply to state aids to businesses in Great Britain, if they can be shown to have a theoretical effect. We signed up to giving direct effect and supremacy to this treaty. That's something Canada hasn't done with its deal. I don't think anyone in the world does that with their trade deals. And the problem with doing any sort of deal, even if it's a poor deal, is that it undermines the arguments we have to unpick the withdrawal agreement and the Northern Ireland Protocol. There are good arguments for that. A major part of the consideration given by the European Union for these agreements was their obligation to negotiate in good faith a trade agreement. I think that there are compelling reasons why they have not negotiated in good faith. In particular, they haven't offered us comparable terms to terms they're happy to offer to other countries. And they have deliberately abused the negotiating process by trying to spin it out and put time pressure on the United Kingdom to agree. And I mean, I'm very pleased the government so far has resisted these pressures. But if we end up with a no deal, I think it gives us a very good argument in international law that a major part of what we were in effect paying for and agree to pay for in the future, with billions and billions and billions of pounds of post-termination payments into the EU budget, has not been delivered. I would much rather, if we're heading for a bust up, leave without any further future relationship agreement than enter into a poor one.